my first year at university, and everything felt off. The room was still unnaturally quiet. After my parents left and I unpacked, that silence only deepened. Later that day, my roommate arrived. His name was Dale, but something about him felt wrong from the moment I met him. When I reached out to shake his hand, he just stared at it like he didn't understand the gesture. Then gave a limp, cold shake and let out a strange laugh. He barely spoke, just sat on his bed in the dark, lit only by the dim blue glow of his laptop screen. That first night, I couldn't sleep. I had this overwhelming feeling that I was being watched. At around 3 a.m., I opened my eyes to find the blinds wide open and Dale sitting upright staring at me. I whispered, "What the hell are you doing?" He simply said, "Sorry," and laid back down without another word. The next day I saw him outside in the garden, crouched behind a bush, whispering to a tree while rubbing its bark like it was alive. Students stared. I said nothing. That evening, I returned to the room to find him facing the door, waiting. My laptop had been opened. Emails and folders were obviously accessed. When I confronted him, he cut me off mid-sentence and shouted, "No!" Loud, defensive, unprovoked. Later that night, I woke to the sound of a zipper. He was rummaging through my bag, claiming he was looking for his toothbrush. But I knew he was lying. The next day I switched rooms. I felt relieved. Until that night, I heard a soft, deliberate clicking. Click, click, as someone was trying to unlock my door. I looked through the peephole. Dale was standing there, head lowered, not moving, just trying the handle. Click, click. I called campus security. When they arrived, he didn't flee. He let them cuff him, smiling the entire time. I never saw him again, but the way he stared at me through the peephole, that cold, empty stare, it still crawls into my dreams. It was October, the kind of cold where every breath feels like it could carry a whisper from something watching just beyond the dark. That night, me and two close friends decided to head out to the school's nature preserve by the lake. There was a small clearing far from the main path, hidden, isolated. We called it our spot. Perfect for a fire, a few beers, and just escape. But that night, it didn't feel like ours. The fire crackled. We laughed, talked about everything and nothing. Then, there it was. A sound, crunch, leaves, twigs. We froze. Someone or something was out there. In a panic, we chucked our bottles into the lake, thinking maybe it was campus security patrolling, but no. This didn't sound like a bored officer making rounds. It circled us, silent, methodical. We couldn't see them, but we felt them, just out of reach, just beyond the tree line, like we were being hunted. No rushed footsteps, no shouts, just slow, deliberate movements. Then, snap, a thick branch cracked nearby. Close, then thud. A large branch landed right in our fire pit, snuffing out the flames in an instant. One of my friends bolted. The other, and I sat there, paralyzed, half laughing, half terrified. Then he screamed. Another branch struck him right in the face. I grabbed our bag, pulled him up, and we ran. Branches tore at our faces. The cold air stung our lungs, but we didn't stop, not until we reached the road. Then we heard it. Footsteps, behind us. Slow, not chasing, just following. We didn't stop until we were back at the dorm. Our other friend was already there, safe. But when we looked out his window, we saw someone, down by the woods, just pacing, back and forth. Every time a car passed, they disappeared into the trees, like they were waiting, watching. We never saw them again, but we never went back to the lake either. And to this day, I still wonder, were they already watching us before we ever heard them? Or did something call them to us? You hear a lot about frat parties in college. Cheap beer, loud music, maybe a fight or two, maybe a hookup if you're lucky. But this wasn't that kind of party. It was the first Thursday of the semester. My roommate was dead set on rushing a frat. Any frat. Even if it meant dragging me along to the sketchiest one on campus. And that's how we ended up in the slummier part of town, staring at this rotting corner house with pulsing bass leaking from the walls like the building itself was struggling to breathe. It didn't look like a frat house. It looked like something people tried to forget. The door creaked open, and a sweaty guy with stained armpits waved us in like he'd been waiting. Inside, the air reeked. Mold, beer, and something chemical I couldn't quite place. The house was packed, but it was all guys. Dozens of them. Shoulder to shoulder. No laughter. No music games. Just watching, staring. Barely a woman in sight. I told myself I'd give it 20 minutes. Long enough to say I tried. Then this heavy guy approached with a tiny, unmarked bottle. "That'll get you wasted," he smirked. I laughed it off, awkwardly. But he didn't walk away. He just stood there, staring, waiting. So I took a sip, maybe 2 shots worth. And then, nothing. Darkness. I woke up in a pitch-black room. The bed beneath me creaked with the slightest movement. The only sound was the bass, still thudding from behind closed doors somewhere in the house. I wasn't tied down, but I felt trapped. Shapes loomed around me. Furniture, a draped figure in the corner, a closet door half open. Then, crunch, a plastic bag, stepped on, from inside the closet. My breath hitched. I stirred, paralyzed. And then, I ran. I threw the door open and bolted down the stairs. That same crowd of guys stood near the exit, silent, watching, unmoving, like statues carved from rock. I found my roommate, grabbed his arm, and shoved him out the front door without a word. In the car, I told him everything. His face went pale. And then he asked the one question I couldn't answer. "Do you think they did something to you?" I didn't know. My clothes were intact. No bruises. No pain. It had only been 10 minutes. Maybe. But I haven't stopped thinking. What if I hadn't woken up? What if that drink had done what they wanted it to do? We never went to the cops. What would we say? There's no law against evil wearing a smile. But I learned something that night. Monsters don't just live in stories. Sometimes they live in houses that smell like mold and bleach. Sometimes they invite you in, offer you a drink, and wait. It started as a normal night. A movie, some takeout, a bit of homework I wasn't planning on finishing. I live alone in a small apartment. Just 2 rooms and a narrow hallway barely wide enough to stretch your arms. Quiet, peaceful. Or it used to be. I was lying on the couch, trying to relax, when I heard it. Tap, 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 soft, deliberate footsteps, coming from the hallway. But I was alone. I muted the TV and held my breath. Tap, tap. Closer now. My heart started to race. I stood up, but the hallway was empty. Lights on. No shadows. Just drywall and rug. But I know what footsteps sound like. And those weren't mine. That night, I locked my bedroom door, turned on every light, slept with headphones in and a kitchen knife under my pillow. Stupid, right? But the next night, it happened again. Tap, drag, tap. A limp step this time, like someone was injured or carrying something heavy. I checked every room. Nothing. No footprints, no broken locks, no signs of forced entry. Just silence. And the smell. It lingered in the air, sharp and metallic, like wet copper mixed with old wood. I couldn't take it anymore. I started recording at night. Set my phone on the coffee table, facing the hallway. Didn't sleep much, just waited. The next morning, I reviewed the footage. At 2:12 a.m., the hallway light flickered and then a shadow. It moved across the floor. No body, no source, just movement. Then came the sound, soft but clear. A voice whispering my name twice, then laughter. But here's the part that broke me. Right before the recording ended, the camera shook like someone was breathing right into it. And in the reflection of the dark TV screen, there was a face. Not mine, not human. I haven't lived there since. Didn't even go back to pack. Just left the keys on the counter and walked out. No one believed me. Not the cops, not my friends. But some nights, when I lie awake in my new place, I hear it again. Tap, tap, drag, closer than before. It wasn't the apartment. It was never the apartment.